Hi guys, and welcome to the first edition of Mental Improvement. This show is all about interviewing men who want to talk about their experiences with mental health and mental illness. I'm a firm believer that we all have mental health and that we all go through some stages of it at various points in our life, just like we all have physical health. The idea of the show is to get one person each time to open up a little bit about what's going on with their mental health or what has gone on, the lessons they've learned along the way, some of the good, some of the bad. But also to encourage more men to speak out. We're a very underrepresented demographic in mental illness at the moment, in mental health in general. There's more and more getting done, still not enough overall, but definitely not enough for men. So this is one of the things I want to encourage, because quite often we won't open up about it. We'll be the sort of stubborn, stiff upper lip men that our gender roles seem to dictate that we ought to be. And I want to break that. I want to help break through that, help break the stigma attached to mental health, and help getting more men talking about it. So there'll be another call at the end for anyone who wants to actually be on this show, but that's what we're trying to open this up to, more men who are happy to talk about mental health. Today, for the very first show, I've got one of my best friends in the whole world with me, James. I'm hoping I'm not going to get too emotional, because I'm very emotionally attached to this man here. We both went through probably our worst period of mental health at roughly the same time, but because of that, during that period we allowed our friendship to slip, and James moved away, so we actually weren't there for each other when we probably both needed it the most, and that's kind of always been a little bit of a pain for the pair of us. I'm not going to say any more about it. I'm going to talk to James, and we're just going to have a chat. He's going to talk to us about his mental health, and we're going to take it from there. So James, this is where I switch into my normal voice now, see what I mean? Camera voice, I'll stop it eventually. First of all, I suppose talking about your mental health, we need to kind of backtrack a little bit further and go on to your physical health. So tell us a bit about what the background is there.
I'm generally a fairly average person. My health as I've grown up has been standard, never had any major problems until about 10 years ago, when I was diagnosed with a type of cancer called Hodgkin's lymphoma, not Hodgkin's leukemia, you should know that. But yeah, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 23, I believe it was, just before Christmas, so a nice Christmas present to me. So yeah, it came as a bit of a shock to an otherwise healthy young 20-year-old man, that he's suddenly got a cancer and he's got a pretty good chance of dying.
How did that change things for you at the time? Did you have the realisation of life's too short? Did you go off in that direction, or what were you doing for your mind?
Yeah, definitely. So I very much, up until that point, I had been one of the sort of people to be planning years ahead. So I planned, what I was going to do with our house, when we were going to sell up and move, when we were going to have each of our next major life points, and what I was going to do with my job. And this came along and basically put a stop to everything. It makes you really sit back and think, or it made me really sit back and think about it, to think that actually I've got all these plans for 10, 15 years down the line, and I might not be here in 10 to 15 years. So I ended up stopped thinking about that at all, and started immediately more living sort of day to day and just dealing with whatever came at me at the time. I very much stopped planning for anything to happen.
What was your attitude towards it at the time? Were you thinking about fighting? Were you? What was going through your mind?
I am the sort of person that deals with anything major through comedy. To put it into context, after the doctor told me about my diagnosis, my first comment to both him and my wife was that means I can get the mortgage paid off through life insurance then.
Which you did.
Which I did, as it turns out. I deal through lots of things through that. So I very much, I didn't sit back and give up. I just sort of saw it as something just something to get on with. Something that happens a lot. I just sort of thought, it's something to get on with, and just to start dealing with. I feel it affected probably more the people around me more than it affected me directly, because I was just in the centre of this whirlwind, whereas other people getting whipped around me, where I was just in the sort of the epicenter, just sitting there, just getting on with it.
Yeah. See, this was the thing that I think surprised me, was because when we got back in touch just before you moved back up north, and May told me about that, there was a period where you'd gone through poor mental health, and that, we could have done, you could have done with my help during that period. It would have been nice to have you around, and it's like, really hope that we could, reconnect. And it just really surprised me, because I thought to myself, well, I remember the first stages of that, of you going through cancer, and just it not seeming to affect you mentally at all. It seemed, I could see the physical changes that were happening. I mean, you had much straighter hair. It's going to be.
Yeah, it's got a bit early now. Yeah.
I'm dealing with it at comedy because you are, but obviously I saw all the physical changes, but mentally you just seemed really strong. So, if did that have an impact on you mentally, or did that come later?
It came later on. I mean, as I previously said, that a lot of I dealt with it a lot by just thinking, well, it's something I've just got to get on with.
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice. I did have a choice. I had the choice to die or to get treatment. They were my two choices. I didn't much fancy dying, so I got on with the treatment, and I just got on with it.
Yeah.
There were definitely times through the treatment where it affected me. Got sent to counsellor for one session, who then sent me away because he said there was no point in me being there. It wasn't due to the fact that I was suffering from poor mental health at the time. It was just through the physical strain of it that it got to me.
Yeah.
But it just altered me, and it altered my perception of how things were, and yeah, from that point I never saw what was the point in planning for the future, because the future may just not happen.
Okay.
And it very much took, and I went from the sort of person that was looking forward to the future to just thinking, well, what future?
Yeah.
And yeah, there were definitely times where I did give up. I completely and utterly gave up. There's one time memorable that I rolled up to the hospital to get treatment with my wife and my mum, as I always did, and I just refused to go in. They got to the door and I went nope, and I just sat down on the bench outside, and I would not go inside. Obviously everyone gets panicky at that point, and obviously trying to get me inside, and I just refused. And it was that sort of point, that I did hit breaking point a few times where I was just like, I just can't do this. There were some nights when I had to have treatment, and then for the following 12 hours I was sick every hour on the hour, full 12 hours. And it it really did drain me. Although I still think it had more of an impact on everyone around me, because they could see it happening to me.
Yeah, and they probably felt a bit powerless to help as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think that was a big part of it, that they were trying to do what they thought was best for me, and I was more concerned about doing what I thought would make me feel best. And the two clashed quite often. So yeah, it must have been very tough for them, because ultimately they're trying to look out for me, and it didn't matter how horrible I was to them or how stubborn I was, it didn't change how that felt.
So how long was it before you got the all clear?
I was in treatment for around about a year. It was about 9 to 10 months, something like that. And after that, after my sort of final round of chemo, and then had some special scans, and they decided, that they thought they had beaten it, and they were happy to stop treatment at that point. So, in the scheme of things, it's not particularly a very long period of time. Obviously, in terms of what happened, it was a very large life event.
So from that point, what would you say was the kind of starting point to your mental health degrading?
After that point, after I got the all clear, I was a different person. I went from planning for the future to just not caring about it. Something that we did afterwards is one of the reasons that we lost contact. As you say, me and my wife decided that we'd had bad time up here in terms of the last year. We had bad memories, so we decided to move. Not decided to move, we decided to be left the country for a few months to go on a massive holiday. And when we came back, we decided to not live up here because of the bad memories. In retrospect, it's kind of a bit silly to think that we'd had years and years of good memories up here, and then discounted everything because of that 9-10 month period. But that's just what we did. and moved to the south coast, and that was the sort of the start of the downfall of it. It was trying to lead a lifestyle to try and that we, looking back, you sort of think actually what I was doing was trying to make myself happy by doing various random things, spending lots of money, trying to live a fancy lifestyle that you think is going to make you happy, and ultimately it just didn't.
Yeah. So we'll talk about where you kind of got to, like the low point in a sec, but were there any signs along the way? Was there anything that said to you that you were kind of heading down that road?
Definitely, it's when like relationships with my wife started deteriorating. Me and May, we've been rock solid as a couple forever. There's I don't think you'll find a couple who are more joined than we are.
It's kind of irritating.
And it was when we were living down south, and we could just tell that we were drifting apart. And when we sort of hit rock bottom as a couple together, it was at that point I sort of thought that sort of was the start of it, that made me sort of think something has changed. Is it her? Is it me? Is it both of us? Something has changed and is different in us. And it was at that sort of point that I think that it was actually me looking back at it. I don't believe it was May who had changed. She's sort of, as far as I'm concerned, she's always been the same person that I married, and the same person she's always been. It was me almost lashing out at random directions, trying to be something I wasn't really.
You said you were trying to kind of like find happiness by doing stuff. Did you find where that was, what that hole was? What was missing?
The thing is, I don't think anything ever was missing. I think I thought something was missing because after that massive life event that I had, I ended up thinking there must be more to life than doing the day-to-day drudge, as some people might call it, where you go to work, you come home, you have 2 days off at the weekend, and then you start again. But actually, I was missing. When you think of it that way, you're missing everything that goes on in the peripheral. You're not including all the friendships you make, the people you love and laugh with, your family that you have. You forget about that, and you just think about all the things that you think you're missing out on without actually realising what you've got.
So what was the point at which you'd say you kind of like hit the lowest?
It was a good few years after that. So after we moved down south, we had some children down there as well. We lived down there. I was working in a job which I was okay, happy in. It was just a job, getting on with things, and it was at that point where I found I just didn't want to do anything anymore. As much as when I was ill, when I got to the point of what's the point planning for the future, I also started thinking, well, what's the point doing stuff today? That was sort of at my lowest point was at that point where I actually started sitting around thinking, just why do any of it? Why do anything? Why plan for anything? What's the point in all of this that's going on around me?
Did you find an answer to that question?
I don't know if I ever found an answer to the question of what's the point, because I think the answer to the question is that there is no point. I think it was one of the major realisations that I came to, that looking for answers and looking for a purpose and looking for a point is sometimes the problem. You spend too long looking for something and you miss what you've got.
Yeah.
You sit there, you long for something, you long for a purpose. Why am I working this dead-end job? Why can't I go out, and do all these fun things? Or I've got kids, I've got to stay at home. I can't go out and do all these. I can't go out partying and things like that. I found myself longing for things that I didn't need. I just thought I did need. I thought I wanted them.
Yeah.
And I ended up almost missing out on, say, everything that's going on around you.
So you almost focused on the things that your life was excluding you from, instead of the things that your life was giving you.
Exactly that. Yeah. So I said I've been through this massive event where I could almost could have died, and was quite close to, and And yeah, I went through that, and it changed my opinion to looking for things around me to say, well, what's the point of me doing? What, you know, I've beaten cancer. I'm still alive. What's the point of me living?
Yeah.
And at my lowest point, I had no answer to that. I had no answer to say, what's the point of me being alive? I just thought it's just, you know, the next day is going to be the same as this day, the same as the day before that. It's just going to be the same rubbish, the same you know, bad thoughts going on in your head, same trudging through work, same getting shouted at by someone who is meant to be more important than you. And yeah, at my lowest point, many a times I just sat there, stopped and did nothing and wanted to do nothing for days at a time because what was the point? And yeah, it took a while to realise that actually that I was asking myself the wrong question.
So what changed?
I started talking, actually. The biggest thing I think that changed is I actually sat down and talked to my wife about it.
Okay.
I mean, just thinking back about it, as I said, all I just did was plod along every day, just get on with the same stuff that I always got on. I had, you know, one child, I had another child on the way, and I just did what I had to do. And that was the problem. I just kept on doing things because I just thought, well, I have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm the man of the house. I have to earn, you know, my wife's pregnant, so she can't work as many hours, or she can't work at all because we've got another child who also needs looking after. So I'm the man. I've got to step up. I've got to go out and earn the money, keep my family safe, keep my family fed and looked after. So I just never took time to do anything apart from that. That's what I thought my whole purpose in life was at that time, was just to exist solely to make sure that other people could also live.
Okay. Which is a noble reason.
It is, but I think that level of stoicism is also what caused a lot of my problems, because when you live like that and you think like that, and if you ever pause to reflect on how you're thinking, you sort of realise actually you're not a person, you're just some blob that earns money. There's just you're not living your life at that point. You're not allowing yourself to live your life. If the only purpose you see for yourself is I just need to earn money to keep my family, not to keep my family alive, keep them in a house, to keep them fed, you're forgetting that you are a person yourself. You have a right to also live.
Yeah. And you know, you can't take water from a broken well. You know?
No.
So.
And it was at that point, yeah, that when I was at the bottom, and you know, obviously my wife could see me heading down this path and was very worried for me. That, you know, eventually I broke down to the point where I started talking to her, and it was at that point that she just wasn't aware of how I felt, because I'd never told anyone.
So you were carrying all that by yourself?
Yeah, because I just carried on. It was my job. Yeah. I was the man. I was the hunter-gatherer. It was my job to go out and provide for my family, so that's what I did.
And how dare you have emotions?
Exactly. How dare I have feelings? And I didn't think that was a major crux of the problem. I never took that time to think about myself, to think about what my needs were and how I felt, and communicate them with the person who's meant to be the closest person to me in my life. You.
So what happened next? So you talked to May.
Yeah, I talked to May. I talked a lot to May. We had lots of conversations about it. She tried to help me the best she could. She was as supportive as anyone could be when you're basically talking to someone who doesn't want support. And yeah, it helped a lot just to try and open up about things, to let her know how I was feeling, to let her know that, you know, how I felt, or how I perceived I was being, it sounds like bad terminology, almost used by the family. My purpose was to be a tool to keep the family
you
alive.
know what though, I think it comes to that, like, one of the things I often deal with, and this is more frequent with women, but I think they're probably just more open to talking about it, is the fact that they put everybody else first, and what they're never going to turn around and say, but everyone's thinking it on the inside, is when's my turn? When's someone going to do this for me?
Yeah.
Why can't I have the day off today and everybody fills in my role? And I think we all get like that eventually. So, you know, but I think it's kind of, that's why you say you've got to have that level of self-care, you've got to have that level of looking after yourself. One thing that I think I've only just picked up on for the first time now is in terms of the timeline of it. And you say obviously Ethan was born, Xander was on the way, and May didn't have a clue that this is how you were feeling. Well, that lines up exactly pretty much with when me and Alona were over in Hastings and we decided to bob over to Eastbourne to meet you, doesn't it? And we met you and we met Ethan, and you just seemed like the normal you. And I think that's like one of the big things is that we do, even when we're feeling this inside, we just put on the costume, the suit of armour.
I put on my outside front to go about my day-to-day business because this is what I need to do.
Because I'm sensitive to this stuff, but I didn't have a clue anything was going wrong or was you were feeling that way in the slightest.
Because it's my coping mechanism is to hide everything behind some type of humour.
Yeah.
And it's a very easy mask to wear. Not so easy to take off. But it was only through realising how I was starting to feel, but that only came after talking to May. All I knew was that I got to the point where I didn't feel like I should do anything. What was the point in everything? What was the point in life, existence? And it was only after I actually opened up and spoke to May and told her how I felt that it was at that point. Obviously, she realised how I was actually feeling, and we were able to try and work together as a team to try and try and work through it. I mean, it wasn't done alone. I had to go to the doctors, speak to them, had to spend some time off of work, more time than I would have liked to, but I had to take time to remember to be me. Yeah. To stop thinking about everyone else, to actually be able to sit down or to be able to wake up in the morning and think, not what do I have to do for other people today, but what do I want to do?
When you took the time off work, did you kind of in that period feel like you weren't providing as much as you could have done? Was that when you say more time than you wish? What were you feeling there?
I was very lucky that in the job I had at the time, it had a very generous sickness policy. Okay. So while I was signed off, luckily that I didn't have to really worry about that side of things. But I spent every day off feeling like an imposter. I mean, I was signed off work with anxiety and depression. And when someone says that to you, they say they think you're suffering from anxiety. Then you sort of think, that's not me. I'm not one of those people you see on TV, jittering in a corner who won't talk to anyone. I'm not a depressed person. I'm not dressing all in black and listening to My Chemical Romance or anything like that.
What's wrong with dressing in black and listening to My Chemical Romance?
I'm not doing that. I'm not depressed. So I spent every day and any moment of happiness that I'd have in that time made me just feel like an imposter. Made me feel like I'm just taking time off of work just because I can, not because I need it.
Yeah, I totally relate with that. Like you could have, it's kind of what you said earlier. You discounted 9 good years for 9 bad months. It's when you are feeling depressed, you get that glimpse of happiness in a day, and you feel like an imposter, which then makes you feel crap again because you're like, it's this whole constant kind of question of yourself of the standard perception of anyone that doesn't really understand mental illness is like, oh, just cheer up or just get over it. And though for those brief periods, you think, well, maybe I could.
Yeah, I've been off of, well, fair enough, I've been off work for weeks and I've had my first happy day. Oh, that must mean I'm faking. Yeah. That's how I felt, and it took a long time to start having more happy days than bad days. Yeah. I don't want to call them sad days because it's not sadness. I didn't mope around the house feeling sad or sorry for myself.
What did you feel?
I don't think about anything.
No.
Yeah, I just felt, as I said, I got to the point where I thought, well, what's the point in anything? I just didn't feel anything. There was no pointing it. What was the point in having feelings because it didn't achieve anything?
Like apathy.
Yeah, it was apathy towards everything.
Yeah, absolutely everything.
Apathy towards why should I bother getting up? Why should I bother being nice to my wife? Why should I bother trying to be a parent? why should I bother trying to go to work? It's all just going to end up in the same situation.
So you started talking, you started getting more better days after the result of that?
Yeah. I mean, just trying to communicate, trying to let the other person, or any major person in your life, trying to make them know how I felt. Just trying to be more open like that, and yeah, just trying to think more about my needs, my happiness. Still obviously trying to provide for my whole family, but also letting myself have wins for me, not just doing everything for someone else.
Yeah.
And just starting to and it was at that, once you start thinking about it more that way, I started thinking more about, well, same with jobs. So I was in a job that I wasn't particularly happy in, and it makes me think, well, why am I doing this job? Just because it happens to provide good, some decent money for my family. If it provides unhappiness for me, then what's more important, the money for my family or the unhappiness for me? So yeah, I started trying to make changes. I started trying to realise actually what in my life was making things bad. It was the job, as I say, it was living down south. We had moved away from everyone we knew and loved, yourself included. We'd moved away from everything that we had in our lives, and for no particular reason that we can think of.
Yeah.
We just did it because we thought that's what we should do to escape the bad things that happened. And it turns out bad things happen everywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where the things have happened. It matters what you're carrying around with you.
Yeah. I mean, not all new starts are good new starts, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what we tried to do, is do a new start. We had a fancy top floor flat. Oh, look at all this new furniture we had. Oh, it's great. Who you've got to share it with? No one. Just each other. Just, and yeah, it's empty existence trying to live like that.
So what are some of the things that you did for you, or that did anybody else help with that process?
Yeah, it was just little things, like trying to take time for me, trying to finding hobbies, not just sitting down in front of the telly waiting to fall asleep till the next morning. It was actually spending some time, spending some money in certain cases. Think, what is it that makes that I enjoy doing? Trying to think more about those sort of things. What do I want to do? And yeah, it was things like taking a risk, like saying talking it over with me and saying I'm not happy with this current job. I need to find something new. But whatever I find is going to be a gamble.
Yeah.
We have two young children in the house. It is a gamble to do it, and it was trying to do things like that. Find a new job, and she supported me all the way. She even went out and got like a job early in the morning that worked around the hours I was doing, just to boost up the money we were earning, so I could take that gamble and I could try and find something that's making me happier. And yeah, it was just doing that, spending more time thinking, or spending any time thinking about me as an individual rather than just me the provider.
Yeah. So, would you say you're completely out the other side, or is it an ongoing process?
I don't know if it's something you ever get over.
Yeah.
Once those thoughts settle into your head, it's I think, I don't know, me personally, I don't think I'll ever get rid of them. I wouldn't, if I look down and say, am I depressed or do I have depressive thoughts, then no, I don't. But the anxiety side of things is something that will never leave me, because it's something that's just become part of me, and it's just learning about how to manage it. When you're sitting there and you think to yourself, oh God, I don't deserve to have this job, or oh, I don't deserve to have a race, so I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as the people around me, I don't deserve to have the people around me that I love and care for, I'm not good enough for them, I'm not doing enough for them. Those thoughts will always be there.
Oh, it's called imposter syndrome, and practically everyone I know has experienced it at one point or another.
Yeah, and
we think that one day we're going to get called out on our.
Yeah, exactly, and that is how it feels. It feels, and those thoughts still come up, and you can't help but think. You can't stop them, because I'm not consciously thinking them. They just come into your mind occasionally, but it's an ongoing thing, trying to figure out how to deal with them. And when you feel yourself slipping, when you feel you're maybe on the way down, or recognising it and trying to put a stop to it before it gets to the points it has done in the past.
Yeah, getting in there early. And the other thing is as well, I don't know if it's the same for you, but as it is for me, but it's so much easier to intervene at those stages because you're still using your rational mind. By the time you kind of let those feelings and thoughts take over, you almost become a bit of a slave to them. So
yeah, I just found that just even opening up to people, just when those thoughts come into your mind, when you start feeling down, or when you do start just feeling that you're just being a tool once again, you're just grinding away, just at the money mind, just to try and bring stuff in for the family. When those thoughts start, so I mean, actually stopping and thinking, no, I need to talk to someone about this. I need to talk to the people I'm close to about this, and not letting it get like it was before, where I didn't talk to anyone, I didn't do anything about it. I just kept it all inside me. Because what's the point of having these major people in your life if they're not there to support you and you're not there to support them when they need it?
Yeah. Is there anything you know now that you wish you'd have known then?
Yeah, I spent a lot of years looking for or trying to find a reason for doing everything. Like I would say, of trying to find a reason of being alive, of why am I doing what I'm doing. And a lot of those years were spent. The answer was, well, I'm doing it just because I have to, just because I have kids that need that. They're my responsibility. I brought 2 little humans into the world. I have to make sure that they live the absolute best life I can give them. They have to have the best start I can give them. That's my responsibility. And that was my purpose. And I think actually now, the biggest thing I've realised is that just by seeking a purpose in life, I think you're always setting yourself up to fail, because there is always something more that could be provided. There's always something to say for my kids. There's always something more I could have done more overtime? Could I have got a better job? Could I have spent more time with them? Could I have done this? Could I have done that? There's always more that could be done. So trying to find a purpose and trying to devote myself to it, I think was one of the biggest things. That I say that in reality, if you're trying to find this, your life's goal, then I think you're going to be searching forever.
I think it's having a kind of a scale on where that comes though, because it's like you've almost described that as a binary thing there. It's like, am I being the best dad in the world? Is kind of like, it's not a yes or no. It's like, because in that case, in order to hit that yes, you'd need to spend 24 hours of the day with your child, but at the exact same time spend 0 hours of the day with your child, because you're trying to promote love and attention, but you're also trying to promote independence. And it's like, it's really kind of about setting those those things mean to you. So what is being the best dad in the world, or being like, at the end of the day going, was the job I did today good enough?
And that's it. So I mean, for myself personally, I personally feel that trying to find your life's purpose, and that's what I think I was trying to do, was to try and I ended up grinding myself into the ground, where actually I was missing out on life just by searching for what the purpose of living was, and I was forgetting to live myself. And that's the biggest thing I try to do now, is to stop treating life as just my purpose in life isn't just to grind away to try and be the world's best dad, the world's best husband, or stop trying to achieve all of these unachievable goals, and actually just to concentrate more on living my life with the people around me that I've chosen to spend time with, and more lucky that they've chosen to spend time with me.
Yeah.
And it's something that takes a long time to realise, because you only realise that you're so lucky that these people in your life, once they go, you don't realise what you had until it's gone, and by that point it's too late.
But then arguably a lot of people would say that by being present and being in the moment with your family and realising and being grateful for what you have now and working with what you have got now is actually achieving being the best dad and the best husband.
Possibly. I suppose that depends on how you view your life, doesn't it?
Well, it does, absolutely. It depends on how you set that, how you decide what it means. Because to me, life things, actions, experience, they have the meaning that we place on them. And if being in the moment and being there and being present with your family is what you want to do, I think you're doing a wonderful thing for them still by trying to not do a wonderful thing for them.
I think that's the trick of it, is to achieve your goal, achieve my goals by not realising I'm trying to achieve, or by not trying to achieve them.
You said something to me probably when we were about 9. You were 19. I would have been 21. On the way to tennis once, and James was one of the people that tried to actually get me skinny a long time ago, back when I was Big Dave. And it still sticks with me, and I'm still not quite sure whether I agree with it or not, but you said you should always have one goal. This is like you as a teenager. You should always have one goal that you never do anything towards, you never even try for. Maybe you've achieved that.
Maybe. I mean, isn't that the goal ultimately, isn't it? Is to get to the point in your life where you think, I've got nothing left to achieve. I have done all I wanted to do.
It's being content, isn't it? And if happiness, or even more so contentment, is the goal, then you've won.
Exactly, and that's one of the biggest things I've taken through this weird and wonderful life journey that I've had so far, is just stop trying to seek purpose out, stop trying to look for something bigger and greater of the meaning, and actually realise that the meaning of life is what you've probably what you've surrounded yourself by already.
I think I'm going to have to stop it on that. That's like a wonderful place to end. I love it. Thank you. It's been awesome. I'm like still holding back tears. Let's be manly. This is for men, remember, after all. I do not play. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. James isn't the world's most active person on social media, so if you want to say anything to him, say it to me. I'll pass it on. Like this, share it, tag a bloke in it that you think might need to hear it or might actually want to jump on and actually get involved talking about it. Again, the idea is get more and more men talking about mental health, and just realise that that's an okay thing to do. It's a good thing to do. I've had a wonderful experience having this chat with James tonight, and I hope you've had a wonderful experience watching it, and we will catch you on the next edition. See you soon, guys. Bye.